Welcome, fellow hunters. Now that Badlands has dropped, we're revisiting our official Predator power rankings, including the AVP crossover clashes. Where will the franchise's newest entry land? Is it a triumph, a travesty, or some third thing? Stay tuned to find out. Now let's
get to the chopper!
Predator, 1987, the reigning champ. Over 3 decades later, this film still hits like a bomb. Many consider Predator one of the best action movies of the 80s, and it's easy to see why. Directed by John McTiernan, who would helm Die Hard the following year, and starring prime Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator seamlessly blends muscle-bound 80s action with slasher film suspense and sci-fi horror to create something unique. As Rotten Tomatoes sums it up, Predator is part sci-fi, part horror, part action, all muscle. That muscular quality isn't just literal, though. Have you seen the arms on Arnold and Carl Weathers in this movie? It's in the storytelling. Lean, mean, and efficient. The premise is brilliantly simple. An elite special ops rescue team is sent on a rescue mission in a Central American jungle, only to find themselves hunted by an unseen enemy. That enemy, of course, is the Predator, a technologically advanced alien trophy hunter equipped with cloaking camouflage, thermal vision, and an arsenal of deadly gadgets. One by one, the macho men, each a walking stereotype of 80s toughness, are outsmarted and killed, until only Schwarzenegger's character Dutch remains to face the creature mano a mano. It's a classic setup, almost like an Agatha Christie tale by way of Rambo. But what elevates Predator is how it unfolds. McTiernan masterfully builds tension by barely showing the creature for the first half. We get eerie sounds, a camouflaged shimmer, a sudden gruesome death. And when it finally reveals itself? Movie magic. Stan Winston's Predator design is nothing short of iconic, one of the coolest movie monsters ever brought to life. Beyond the creature, Predator gave us an absolutely iconic cast of characters and lines. Arnold's Dutch is, of course, one of the great action heroes, resourceful, courageous, and a walking one-liner. He's joined by Apollo Creed himself, Carl Weathers as Dylan, leading to the most memeable handshake in cinema history.
You son of a bitch.
We get Jesse, the Body Ventura, as Blaine, who ain't got time to bleed.
You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
Bill Duke as the menacing Mac. Shane Black, yes, the director Shane Black, as the jokester Hawkins, Sonny Landham as the stoic tracker Billy, and so on. They're walking cliches, sure, but effortlessly cool ones. And the quotable lines, oh boy.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Get to the chopper! Ugly mother...
You know the rest. Predator is packed with catchphrases that remain pop culture staples. More self-aware than your average meathead action flick, Predator has a sly sense of humor, balancing bombastic action with some clever subversion, showing that all those muscles and guns are useless against a superior hunter from the stars. The final act, where Dutch reverts to primitive tactics, bows, spears, mud camouflage, to fight the Predator, brings the film full circle. The apex Predator isn't the alien with lasers, but the human with wits and will to survive. Does it have the deepest story or characters? No, and it doesn't need to. Its simplicity is its strength. It's a tightly constructed thrill ride with a perfect blend of scares, thrills, and pure adrenaline-pumping fun. The 80s setting also gives it a certain nostalgic charm. It's a time capsule of an era when action heroes were jacked, aliens were practical effects, and directors weren't afraid to take their time to build suspense. So Predator goes straight into S tier. Still the gold standard, with a trophy case full of the sequels, comics, games, and crossovers to prove it. Predator 2, 1990, Urban Jungle Fever. Set in the then-future of 1997, Predator 2 drops a camouflaged alien into an LA engulfed in a heatwave and a drug gang war. Because why not? It's an easy-to-sell premise, and a lot of the gory, sweaty action of the original remains intact. But the film also earned a mixed reception, initially skewered by critics. Over time, however, Predator 2 has gained a bit of a cult following, and it's not hard to see why. Stepping into the hero role is Danny Glover as Lieutenant Mike Harrigan, an LAPD cop who's as far from Arnold Schwarzenegger's muscle-bound Dutch as you can get. And yet, Glover brings his own gravitas and grit, proving you don't need biceps the size of tree trunks to take on a Predator, although it does help. The legendary supporting cast is eclectic 90s fare. We have Gary Busey as a smarmy government agent, Bill Paxton as a motor-mouthed detective, yes, Hudson from Aliens goes up against a predator this time, and even a voodoo-practicing Jamaican gang leader who delivers the hammy line,
Voodoo magic man.
"It's wild stuff." What Predator 2 gets right is expanding the Predator lore. This film introduced us to new Predator weapons and tech: the retractable spear, the smart disc frisbee of death, the net gun that slices like razor wire, all fan-favorite gadgets that would reappear in later installments. It also established that the Predators have a code of honor and a far-reaching history. In the climax, when Harrigan finds himself aboard the Predator ship, we see a trophy case that famously includes an alien xenomorph skull, a jaw-dropping Easter egg in 1990 that inspired the crossover to come. After Harrigan bests the Predator, a whole clan of Predators uncloaks. Instead of killing him, they give him a trophy, an antique flintlock pistol dated 1715, implying these hunters have been visiting Earth for centuries. Moments like these deepen the mythology and are pure catnip for series enthusiasts. However, Predator 2 does stumble in places. The tone is uneven and at times almost cartoonishly macho. To critics, the film is even more meat-headed than the first, with a wild, coke-fueled attitude. The attempt to mash up a gritty police crime drama with sci-fi creature horror doesn't always gel. It can feel like two different movies stitched together. The middle of the film is a bit of a drag, until the Predator finally shows up to bust some skulls. But when the Predator action does kick in, it's great gory fun. By the finale, an elder Predator literally handing Harrigan that 1715 pistol, you can't help but grin at the absurd audacity of it all. In retrospect, Predator 2 is a flawed but fascinating sequel, and though it wasn't fully appreciated in 1990, it's now seen as an ambitious cult classic that pushed the franchise forward. For that and more, Predator 2 claims a solid B-tier spot on our list. Alien vs. Predator 2004, fan service in a frozen tomb. Next up is Alien vs. Predator, the 2004 crossover event that fans had imagined ever since that xenomorph skull cameo in Predator 2. Director Paul W.S. Anderson took on the challenge of bringing two of sci-fi's most iconic monsters together on the big screen. The concept: a team of archaeologists and mercenaries discover an ancient predator temple buried under Antarctic ice, where predators have been breeding xenomorph aliens for centuries to hunt as a rite of passage. Humanity basically stumbles into the middle of an interspecies deathmatch. What could go wrong? Well, quite a bit, as it turns out. Let's start with the positives. AVP does deliver some of what the title promises. When the two alien species eventually face off, we get some fun and memorable scenes. There's a particularly cool one-on-one fight between a predator and an alien queen in the climax, which is the kind of comic book splash panel come to life that teenage fans dreamed of. The film also gives a nod to alien lore by featuring Lance Henriksen as Charles Bishop Weyland, a precursor of sorts to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation from Alien, and the lead human character Alexa, Sana Lathan, forms an unlikely alliance with a predator, a twist that could have been interesting, at least in theory. Unfortunately, the execution doesn't fully live up to the premise. One big gripe from fans was the decision to make AVP a PG-13 movie, an odd choice when your two franchises are known for R-rated gore. Indeed, the film's watered-down violence threatened to sink the whole ship. While it's arguably the better of the two AVP films, that's not saying much. The characters, aside from Alexa and Weyland, are utterly disposable tropes. You probably won't remember most of their names by the end. The plot is a bit jumpy and rushed, taking too long to get to the monster brawls and then not fully capitalizing on them. Critics felt that AVP delivered gore without scares and cardboard cutout characters, making the film far less exciting than the concept sounds. Meanwhile, some fans felt that turning a predator into an ally hero figure undermined the terrifying lone wolf hunter image that made the original Predator so menacing. To the movie's credit, it acknowledges the absurdity of its premise, and you can tell Anderson had affection for both franchises. There are Easter eggs galore, from hieroglyphs showing predators fighting aliens to subtle musical cues from the Alien films. But affection alone doesn't equal quality. In the end, Alien vs. Predator is fan service frozen in a block of ice, literally and figuratively. It has just enough cool moments to be worth a watch for series devotees, but you'll need to turn your brain off and perhaps dim your expectations. AVP sits squarely in our C tier, not the worst, but nowhere near the best. Aliens vs. Predator, Requiem, 2007, the bottom of the food chain. When it comes to the Predator franchise, Requiem is an appropriate name for a movie that should probably stay buried. Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, often abbreviated AVPR, is widely regarded as the weakest entry in either the Alien or Predator series. This 2007 sequel had a simple B-movie setup. A predator and a swarm of xenomorph aliens, plus a hybrid Predalien, wreak havoc in a small Colorado town. On paper, that sounds like a creature feature fan's dream match. In practice, it plays out with all the grace of a young child smashing two action figures together, as one reviewer aptly put it. In other words, a loud, messy brawl with zero finesse. Critics and fans alike gave Requiem a cold shoulder, citing paper-thin characters and a half-baked script. Even by Monster Mash standards, the story and human cast are entirely forgettable, serving only as cannon fodder between creature fights. To its credit, the film cranks up the gore. This is a hard R bloodbath compared to its PG-13 predecessor, but that alone couldn't save it. In fact, Requiem became infamous for being literally too dark, visually. The movie is so poorly lit that it's notoriously difficult to tell what's happening on screen for large stretches. As the Rotten Tomatoes consensus quipped, Requiem's extra gore and violence can't excuse the film's disorienting editing, excessively murky lighting, and lack of new ideas. Ouch! That said, we'll toss Requiem one small bone. The Predator itself, nicknamed Wolf by fans, is kinda badass. He's an elite veteran hunter cleaning up a xenomorph infestation, which in another film might have been a cool premise. There are a few blink-and-you-miss-'em Easter eggs, too. Keep an eye out for a certain trophy from the Alien universe displayed early on. But thanks to the dim lighting, you literally might blink and miss them. In the end, AVP Requiem is the bottom of the barrel for Predator's cinematic outings. Unless you're a franchise completionist or just morbidly curious, this one's best left in the shadows and deserves to be placed in the D tier. Predators, 2010. Back to the hunt, on new ground. After a long hiatus and some missteps, Predators came along in 2010 as an attempt to get the Predator franchise back on track. The film's premise is a savvy spin on the original film. Instead of one Predator stalking soldiers on Earth, we have multiple Predators stalking a group of human killers on an alien game reserve planet. The title is plural for a reason. This time, we are the ones dropped into unfamiliar jungle territory, quite literally, as the movie opens with our protagonist free-falling through the sky into a dense wilderness. Talk about dropping the audience into the action. That protagonist is Royce, played by Adrian Brody, bulking up way beyond his pianist days, channeling a gravelly-voiced tough guy. He's joined by an ensemble of dangerous characters, mercenaries, assassins, a Yakuza hitman, a drug cartel enforcer, even a psychotic doctor. It's like someone grabbed a fistful of the world's deadliest humans and tossed them together. As one critic noted, after a string of subpar sequels, Predators is a bloody, action-packed reboot that takes the Predator franchise back to its testosterone-fueled roots. Indeed, once the carnage kicks in, this film feels closer to the tone of the 1987 classic than anything since. It has a simple survivalist setup and a clear goal. Humans must outwit the ultimate hunters or die trying. Predators does a lot right. The inclusion of multiple predators, including a new breed of larger, meaner predators, sometimes called super predators, raises the stakes. We even see that these bad blood predators are at odds with the more traditional predator. There's a moment a classic-looking predator is found captured and tied up, indicating a sort of intra-species feud. The film is filled with homages that longtime fans appreciated. One character mows down jungle foliage with a minigun in panic, a nod to Blaine's "Oh, painless" scene from the original, and there's a fantastic showdown where the silent Yakuza member draws a katana for an honorable duel against a predator in an open field. A clear tip of the hat to Billy's last stand in Predator, except here we actually see the fight's outcome. The action is among the franchise's best, brutal, well-paced, and varied. Each human character, being a skilled killer, at least stands a chance, for a little while, which makes the cat-and-mouse game more engaging. It all builds to a bombastic finale with plenty of explosions and one-on-one combat. The cast is another highlight. It's an unexpectedly eclectic bunch. Aside from Brody, we have Topher Grace, playing against type as that shady doctor, Alice Braga as a sniper with a moral center, Walton Goggins as a dangerous convict who still manages to crack dark jokes, Danny Trejo as a cartel enforcer, and even Lawrence Fishburne popping up in a wild cameo as a crazed survivor who has outsmarted the predators until now. This hive of scum and villainy thrown together makes for some juicy interactions. As their bravado falls away to real fear, we get glimpses of character development amidst the carnage. Now, Predators isn't perfect. Some critique that it never fully commits to either being a bold new direction or a pure homage. It sits somewhere in between. The film introduces intriguing ideas. the notion of bad guys versus worse guys, the Predator clan dynamics, etc., but doesn't explore them deeply. By the end, it somewhat reverts to replicating the original's formula: mud traps, one-liners,
Let's find a way off this fucking planet.
and all. As a result, it can feel a bit derivative or safe. The human characters, while more memorable than those in AVP, are still mostly archetypes, and some get dispatched before we learn much about them. The movie also leaves a few threads dangling. It's clear they were hoping to potentially continue the story, as Royce and Isabel remain stranded on the Predator planet when credits roll. However, in the grand scheme, Predator succeeded in revitalizing interest in the series. It proved that you could honor the spirit of the 1987 film: suspenseful hunts in a jungle, practical creature effects, macho posturing and all, while adding just enough new sauce, multiple monsters, new setting, to keep it fresh. If nothing else, it's a fun ride and easily the best Predator film of the 2000s era. The movie's tagline was "Fear is reborn," and indeed, Predators brought back some of the fear and respect for the franchise that had been lost. In our ranking, it claws its way to the A tier, standing proudly as a worthy trophy right behind the best in the franchise. The Predator, 2018, Bigger Isn't Better. Next up is 2018's The Predator, a film whose title drops the number sequence and adds a "the" as if to signify something definitive. Unfortunately, what we got was definitively a disappointment. Director Shane Black, who had a supporting role in the 1987 original, returned to the franchise with promises of a fresh take. Hopes were high that The Predator would revitalize the series after a long hiatus. Instead, audiences were treated to what one critic called a chopped-up narrative, erratic pacing, and a bizarre ending. In short, a studio-meddled mess. So what went wrong? For starters, The Predator tries to cram in a lot. Rogue government experiments, 2 dueling predators, 1 standard Yautja and a giant DNA upgraded one, predator attack dogs, an autistic child who can somehow decipher alien tech, and hints of a larger expanded universe. The film oscillates in tone, attempting Marvel-style quips and world-building to somewhat disastrous effect. The result is that violence and one-liners abound, but the action feels chaotic and hollow, adding up to another missed opportunity for a franchise, increasingly defined by disappointment, as the critics' consensus lamented. In plainer terms, The Predator throws a lot at the screen, but very little sticks. Behind the scenes, it's no secret that extensive reshoots radically changed the third act. Fun fact, the original climax reportedly involved friendly predators teaming up with humans against hybrid creatures, and even an appearance by Ripley from Alien via time travel. Yes, really. All of that was scrapped. Instead, we got a goofy sequel bait ending featuring a Predator killer exosuit that looks like something Tony Stark might have cooked up on a bad day. That final scene, initially meant to include an Alien franchise reference, was altered last minute, leaving fans more puzzled than excited. It's not all doom and gloom. The cast, Boyd Holbrook, Olivia Munn, Sterling K. Brown, Keegan-Michael Key, among others, clearly had fun with the banter, and there are a few entertaining kills and jokes that land. Shane Black's signature dark humor peeks through in the camaraderie of a ragtag group of ex-soldiers who dubbed themselves the Loonies. But those moments are the exception in an otherwise jumbled film. Many longtime fans were frustrated by some of the creative choices. One reviewer said he was actually offended by how bad it was. Perhaps that's hyperbole, but there's no denying The Predator squandered its potential. It tried to go big. Bigger creatures, bigger explosions, bigger ensemble, but bigger isn't always better. In this case, the film's ambition collapsed under its own weight. In our ranking, The Predator 2018 lands near the bottom. It's a loud, clumsy attempt to drag the franchise in a new direction that just didn't click. It's a C-tier ranking. If there's a silver lining, it's that the next film would learn an important lesson. When a franchise is lost, sometimes you've got to strip things way back to basics. Until then, The Predator remains a cautionary tale that even the best hunter can become the prey of poor editing and storytelling. Prey 2022. Back to basics, forward to greatness. It's not often that the 5th sequel in a franchise ends up being one of the best, but Prey pulled off that rare feat. In fact, Prey arguably rivals the 1987 original as the best film in the franchise, friendly debate encouraged. Set in 1719 on the Great Plains of North America, Prey is a bold prequel that flips the script. No high-tech soldiers or city cops, just a young Comanche hunter named Nardu armed with bows, arrows, and unyielding grit. By stripping the franchise down to its essentials, one skilled being versus another in the ultimate hunt, director Dan Trachtenberg created a film that is both refreshingly simple and utterly thrilling. As one critic's consensus described it, Prey is the rare action thriller that spikes adrenaline without skimping on character development. A Predator prequel done right. The genius of Prey lies in its back-to-basics approach. It introduces a feral predator on what is implied to be its first hunt on Earth, wielding slightly more primitive versions of the predator weapons, no plasma caster here, but a bolt gun and a retractable wrist shield that can slice when deployed. And it pits this creature against Nardu, brilliantly portrayed by Amber Midthunder, a young woman eager to prove herself as a warrior to her tribe. The result is a spine-tinglingly awesome showdown that unfolds almost like a chess match. We watch Nardu use her intelligence, her knowledge of the land, and pure determination to level the playing field against an alien with far superior technology. It's Predator distilled to its most important elements, the hunt. Despite being a prequel, Prey is packed with loving nods to the original film and Predator lore, all while carving out its own identity. When Nardu's brother Tabe tells her,
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
it's a respectful callback to Dutch's famous line from 1987, and unlike some cheesy references in other sequels, this one lands. There's also the inclusion of that mysterious 1715 flintlock pistol. Yes, the very same pistol handed to Danny Glover in Predator 2 makes its appearance in Prey, providing a geeky connective thread across 300 years of story, but you don't need to catch any of these references to enjoy Prey. The movie stands on its own as a damn good action horror film. The cinematography showcases gorgeous North American landscapes, the action sequences are inventive, and the film doesn't shy away from gnarly R-rated kills despite being a Hulu Disney streaming release. In fact, the only complaint fans have is that it didn't get a theatrical release. It was that well received. Crucially, Prey also brings heart and brains back to the franchise. We care about Nardu and her brother, and we're invested in her rite of passage journey. When the Predator starts picking off French fur trappers and Comanche warriors alike, the violence has weight and consequences. By the time Nardu and the Predator face each other one-on-one, the tension is high because the film earned it through careful build-up. Less can be more. One Predator, one hero, a clear conflict, and let the execution shine. And shine it did. Prey garnered the highest critical acclaim of the franchise since the original, with a whopping 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, even higher than the '87 classic score. It's safe to say this prequel unlocked the full potential of the concept in a way we hadn't seen in decades. Prey has something for everyone. For newcomers, no prior franchise knowledge is needed, just the primal thrill of the hunt. For fans, it honors its predecessors with lore-friendly touches. On a given day, we might even crown it the champion. Today, it sits alongside the 1987 original in S tier. Predator, Killer of Killers, 2025, Anthology hunts sharpened to a point. Landing far closer to the franchise's high ground than its swamps, Killer of Killers is a lean, vicious animated anthology that splits its hunt across three eras: Viking sagas, feudal Japan, and World War II, each a self-contained chess match of tactics over noise. It channels the stripped-back clarity that made Prey sing: clean objectives, readable geography, brutal payoffs. The anthology format gives it variety without bloat. Even when the animation quality wobbles, the staging and creature beats keep snapping into place. As lore, it's more than a side quest. A closing tease widens the canvas with hints of a broader Yautja stasis program and nudges the timeline toward the next chapter. We're putting Killer of Killers in the A tier, behind the all-timer purity of Predator 1987 and the stripped-back excellence of Prey 2022. It's tighter and more satisfying than the crossover pair and the Predator 2018, and in sheer invention outpaces Predators 2010. If you're revisiting the series, slot it high on your watch list. Not quite the emotional bullseye of the top two, but a stylish, bloody showcase for why this creature still rules the hunt. Predator Badlands 2025, a bright, brutal pivot. For his third outing, Dan Trachtenberg doesn't shake the snow globe. He smashes it and pours the sand in. Badlands flips the POV, strands us on Genna, the most dangerous planet in the universe, and dares us to root for a predator. The result is a crowd-pleasing found family epic. Broader, more action-packed, and cleaner than the franchise's gnarliest high points, yet still welded to the creed: seek only the strongest prey, honor the outcome. Our lead is Dek, a one-eyed Yautja outcast desperate to earn his blooded mark. His trial is simple and impossible. Travel to Genna, essentially a meat grinder disguised as a planet, and hunt the unkillable apex creature, the Kalisk. Stripped of his gear, Dek starts improvising. His unlikely co-pilot is Thia, a wide-eyed Wayland-Yutani synthetic who brings a steady supply of wisecracks, and whose logic syncs with Dek's instinct until they operate like a single hunter's brain. The final boss isn't a man-in-suit brawl, it's a staircase of problems. Dek and Thea build a vocabulary: signal, flank, bait, strike, until the unkillable is simply out-hunted. Between set pieces, the movie slips and the lore fans keep asking for a spoken Yautja language, slivers of Yautja Prime, and plenty of clan politics. The controversial call to push humanity to the margins was always going to disappoint some fans, and though it does work at a storytelling level, you could argue that it turns Badlands into a film starring a predator rather than a predator film. However, another pre-release sticking point, the PG-13 rating, turns out to be a feature, not a bug. Green blood, synthetic milk, and alien pulp let the film swing nastier than you expect, satisfying old-school fans while becoming more widely watchable. Critics have been positive, throwing about buzzwords like kinetic, readable, handsome, and it is handsome. Trachtenberg's camera favors clarity over chaos, and he knows how to let the action breathe. Genna feels both fantastical and extremely dangerous. Our verdict? It keeps the creed and lets more people into the sandbox without turning the Yautja into quippy action figures. Deck works, the franchise's first Predator lead many can actually get behind, and Thia steals scenes, scratching the classic hunter-spotter itch. Ultimately, Badlands lands right in the middle of the pack, but that's by design. We're putting it B tier, above the crossovers in 2018 Stumble, and shoulder to shoulder with Predator 2. Call it the plasma caster of the series. Loud, accurate, exhilarating, even if it won't leave the same mud under your nails as the primal legends. If the brief is expand the galaxy, keep the code, Badlands clears it at a sprint and leaves plenty of meat on the bone for more sequels. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to put us in S tier and please like and subscribe while you're at it.